So
you know that, and to come back with what you said about space, it's interesting because what Bergson, so we should come back to Bergson, because Bergson is really, to my knowledge, the philosopher that was, that has the most positive view of time and, of course, biology, like if it was de facto.
Time isn't bad for Bergson, it's good,
Oh,
it's creative.
It's not that it's bad, it's even the best thing ever.
It's the unfolding of the possibilities of nature.
Exactly, everything will open because time.
Life, he's thinking of life.
Exactly, he's thinking about that's Élan vital, etc. And what is, maybe he made a little mistake, not a mistake, I'm not there, sorry about just having said that. And I told already this morning that it's actually the difference between Whitehead, one of the differences between Whitehead and Bergson is Bergson is limited this idea of creative time to living organisms, while in fact Whitehead, and that's the reason why he says it's philosophy of the organism, which is actually a synonym in Whitehead's philosophy of process philosophy. That means the same for him.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, and that means philosophy of the organism or process philosophy. He extended, in a way we could say that. I don't know if
the Bergsonian point of view to everything.
Élan vital, but except it's not only for life. It's just everywhere, and that's the reason why he's a panpsychic. That's exactly the reason.
It's panpsychic?
Oh, Whitehead? Oh, yes, definitely. Yes,
okay.
completely.
Yeah.
But
the notion of time is still controversial in physics, believe it or not. My friend Stephen Wolfram has just published a big book. He likes to produce big books full of illustrations.
I've seen that.
Yeah, on the second law of thermodynamics. Now that's one of the places where you show how an arrow of time emerges in physics. But guess what? It's been controversial for many different reasons. And he has a completely new viewpoint about why the second law says that things are going to get more chaotic, that things are going to get more disordered.
That's basically the second law of physics.
Yes, and
thermodynamics.
Yes, and it gives you an arrow of time. And there have been aspects of it that are mysterious. As I said, time is problematic in theoretical physics. And Stephen has a whole new viewpoint based, I think, on the computational powers of the observer or something like that. So that obviously, for the fact that I've just not been able to describe it well, I don't understand it. But Stephen's has a very good mind, so I would recommend taking a look, people who are interested in this topic, taking a look at his book on the second law, which was just published, I think, this year.
Because to carry on about this idea of time and space, what the main
and I have another paradox for you later from
that's good. Keep it in mind, please.
Yes,
keep it.
Right.
Don't forget it.
Right.
Don't forget it.
I'm interrupting you too much.
No, you're not. I like when you're interrupting me. It's a pleasure to be interrupted by you.
You're very kind.
But the main thing that actually Bergson reproached to physicists, he said they think they are describing time, but actually they don't. They describe space. And he called that spatialization of time. And
that's special relativity does that.
Exactly. And what he does, what he says, he says what I love with Bergson, I don't know if you tried to read him, but what is great with Bergson is everything is simple, clear, obvious, well written, and it's just like what you were talking about aesthetic beauty.
When he spoke very well in public.
Exactly, but when you
people would faint listening to his lectures.
That's the same. It's just clear. It is not like those French philosophers or postmodern philosophers where you don't understand anything, because actually the more the blur it is, the better. For him, that's not that at all.
He committed suicide when the Nazis entered Paris.
I didn't know that. Bergson. Are you sure about that?
I think so.
God. I didn't know. I discovered that because I'm a fan, and I didn't know about that. I really didn't know about that.
Europe has suffered greatly in the previous century.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
And so
Bergson's the philosopher of biology, which is a neglected science, even though we're living organisms. Physics,
but not in the 19th century. Not when he was living. When he was living, everybody was talking about that and thought that
about evolution.
Yeah, everybody thought. But so what he said, to the example he gave, I think it's a very interesting example to say that when they think they talk about time, they actually talk about space. He said, look at when even in our everyday life, we think about time, we think about a watch. We say, what is a watch? A watch is just, you have an arrow there, and you have space here, and you have piece of space that are supposed to be approximately the same, because maybe people say they are never the same, but I mean, let's say they are the same. Tack, 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 tack. And so the arrow does that. So that means it describes a piece of space, of empty space, something that is empty, that there is nothing in it. And you say, oh, that is time. It's not, no, that is space. Because the time is always different from one person to another. But this time is supposed to be the same for everybody because it's a pure abstraction of the watch that is actually space. The idea that everything is already there, but it's empty. When you don't feel it with life, even with what you actually do, it's just not time. It's just space. It's something that is always the same. It's like the...
Well, that's very mechanical notion of time, whereas a psychological notion of time, exactly. Each person's perception of time is different.
Exactly. But when you say
from moment
mechanical,
to moment,
but it goes even further. You're right to say that, question of perception. But for him, it's even more than perception. Because you're right, perception is part of the organic part of the relation with time. But for him, it is just that even maybe he was anticipating the relativity, because for him, he says that time is just the property of things to overcome themselves, to just, and so the fact that you have a mechanical way, it's like if you were constraining time to be only space, and something that is already there.
Yes, no, I feel sympathetic to that. I mean, he's a romantic. That was why people loved his lectures so much. He was simultaneous with special relativity, and special relativity, Minkowski space, is four-dimensional space-time, in which time looks the same as space, except you have a minus sign for time and a plus sign for the three space dimensions. So he was reacting against the fact that physics denies the existence of time, and in particular doesn't believe in, how do you say, organic unfolding, which is the time that we perceive.
I don't know, I've tried to translate it in my mind for a while, like for the last 5 minutes, but I can't. I don't know the word in English, but he distinguished what he called time, and he said it's actually space, especially, and durée vécue, he said in French, but I don't know how to translate.
What is that word again?
Durée vécue, like the durée.
Duration that you lived or experienced.
Exactly.
Experience, duration.
So for him, time and duration is different.
Duration is the psychological perception of time.
Yeah.
When you're, flirting with a beautiful young woman, time goes by very fast.
Yeah.
And when
what is
you're
interesting
bored
is that for him,
and unhappy, time goes by very slowly.
Exactly that. You see a film that is actually bored or boring, and it doesn't.
It's endless.
Exactly. But for him, he goes further than that. I mean, he said that, but he goes further than that to say it's actually the real time. It's actually that time. There's nothing else.
Which physics denies. Does its best to deny that there's any time.
Does his best to deny. Yeah.
And physicists. Well, for Einstein it was a consolation because he was going to die at the end of his life, and he said, we physicists understand that time is an illusion. I don't think it's an illusion. I just think that current physics doesn't... Prigogine was arguing that the arrow of time is a fundamental new postulate that has to be added to physics because it's ridiculous to deny it.
I think that's the main... Maybe the only, one of the main mistakes in Plato philosophy, or at least to the interpretation, the current interpretation of Plato, because maybe Plato didn't interpret it this way, because now the way I'm seeing Plato is not the way I was seeing Plato like 20 years ago.
Oh, the interpretation has changed?
Yes, completely. My way to see it.
Oh, your way to see it.
My way to see it, just my way, because I saw Plato through the interpretation of French, very scholastic, normal soup philosophers, and they saw Plato like very technically. They distinguished Plato from Parmenides, etc., and all that. And I think Plato didn't care about that, because the main, now my view on Plato is that actually, even in the world of idea, he didn't care about the details, about what it is supposed to be, blah, 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 blah. I think he just cared about contemplation. The fact that he will induce through Socrates, that is kind of a mystical master, that will induce people to actually contemplate something that is beyond.
In the world of pure mathematics, there's no time. A truth is a truth forever, or it's false.
No.
So there is, what is true in mathematics does not change as a function of time. What we know changes as a function of time, but that's a human limitation. I think Plato was against time because it's part of the ephemeral world we live in.
Yes.
And he, as a philosopher, wanted to see something above this sad world we live in, where everything is ephemeral, and time is bad.
Exactly, and that's where I wanted to come, because to say that in the current interpretation, and the interpretation that I actually defended this morning, Plato just discredit time, thinks time is just like the how do you say in English, discrepancy, like he just. Things fall apart and everything is just, and it's always the fact that you forget, and you forget the truth.
Disorder.
You forget the truth also.
And you grow old and die.
Yeah.
But time is good for babies. Babies grow.
Yeah.
That's Bergson's point of view.
Exactly. But you forget about the truth, etc. So anamnesis is actually the way to come back in time to find in yourself the origin of the truth, which is actually mathematics, something that is already there.